So I guess today is supposed to be the rapture. I've seen several comments on Facebook about the rapture. So for those of you watching this video, if I disappear, that's likely where I've gone. So in advance, my apologies for not doing this earlier. Um,
Eighth plus 1/8
okay. So today is a very special edition of Tuesday Nooners that nobody but Tina and every once in a while Heidi and Olsen show up for. In today's episode, I'll be eating chips, but only until I run out. Actually, exciting news. I made two of the coolest bots I think I've ever made. And I can't take full credit because one of them was absolutely inspired by a post that my friend Andrew Ansley shared in his school group um, about something that he and I have discussed a lot and that I think is kind of one of those fundamental aspects of success in our world, and that is um, contextual scaling. And I'll just say this: in Kung Fu, you have to keep a broad view, aware of your surroundings, situational awareness, context. That's a big thing. Somebody's running up on you from the side. You want to know. But you've also got to pay attention, close attention, especially in class when you're learning to like little granular nuances and details like targets and grips and where your feet are. An inch to one direction, right or left, can make all the difference. And so I find myself in class, in Kung Fu class, going broad to narrow, broad to narrow. Um, I don't want to get so abstract that I waste all my time. I could speak all hour, the full hour on that, but I like to think of that zooming in and zooming out. Like it's like I don't know if you're familiar with Mandelbrot, but the when you measure roughness, there's a formula that allows basically everything can be cut in half. Everything can be cut in half. We're talking about math there, but let's get down to the business of the bot. Um, and I will share my screen and show you just how cool I think this bot is. Um, let's just share um, Safari. Okay. And I'll go over here to the classroom and show you where it is. If you're not familiar, which you should be by now, unless you signed up and then have never been to school since then. I think it's been 53 days. And I can tell because I go to the thing and look and say, hasn't logged in 53 days. I appreciate you guys jumping on when I was offering memberships for free. But come in and say hi. Like if you haven't logged in since then, geez. Anyway, you wouldn't be here to hear me complain about it. I make these bots for GPT for Chat GPT because my goal here is to make accessible some of the benefits of AI to those who like aren't like me and who don't jump in and lean into stuff early and dissect and pull apart and want to understand, but just people who want to live their life, right? And look at AI like some big conundrum, some confusing, threatening, outside of scope. And it's not. ChatGPT makes it really easy. And um, my goal is to create these cool little um, task specific um, functions, basically, that allow you to kind of focus on one task or one or two tasks related, and get a really nice job done for very, very easy. And I tend to build these custom GPTs whenever I need to do something. Um, I've learned through my production experience that if I'm going to create something, I want to create it in such a way that if ever I need to come back to it and recreate it, I've documented it, and it's created in such a way that is non-destructive to where I can recreate it much more easily than having to start from scratch and build it back from the bottom. So these custom GPTs allow you to, they're basically based on a certain workflow that I want to reapply consistently into the future. And so sometimes I will create something like this. This is one of my favorites. I use it all the time. And it's a prompt scribe, based on this craft method, which if I open this up, we'll talk about the craft method very briefly. It says, what's the context? What's the role? What's the action? What's the format? And what's the target audience? Craft. And so, um, what I use this for is to say, hey, I want to do this on ChatGPT. Can you write me the perfect optimized prompt to get that thing done? And it will write a prompt based on those five aspects, um, that is kind of written in a way that is optimized for ChatGPT to understand. And the result is always amazing. Like I get what I want, and it's just consistent, whether it's research, a how-to project. I use this a lot when I'm building these bots. I say, this is my goal. I want to do this in such a way that I can recreate it at any time. And I want to train um, a custom GPT to do this. And I want you to write the prompt. And so it'll do that. And then it give me instructions, and it'll do that too. So that's really one of the most important ways that ChatGPT can be helpful. So CraftBot, definitely one that you want to put into your collection if you haven't. And it's right down here. You can see all you got to do is click on this link and it will open up in ChatGPT. And that's the prompt scribe right there. This is the pane on the left of, if you're not familiar with ChatGPT, go get yourself an account with OpenAI and do it. It's free, but you'll be limited in your usage. I pay $20 a month and it's totally worth it. Use it all the time. These are my custom GPTs. These are my projects. And then these are all the chats that I've ever had. And it keeps track of that. So it's like my little buddy, my little Gilligan. So I'm using the ChatGPT 5 most current thinking model. Um, Now, the bot that I want to talk about that I was just mentioning that my friend Andrew inspired, this is the conceptual cartographer um, navigator. And so I made a little picture here and I've got a way that I do these so they all kind of look the same. But he's cute, right? He's cute. And he's got big eyes because he's checking stuff out. What Andrew said in his, and I should probably link to his original post. Maybe I'll do that later. But he says, here's a prompt that says to ChatGPT, I want to know more about this subject, and I want you to give me a thorough overview, a deep dive, or whatever. And so ChatGPT will come back with a bunch of information, and what Andrew does in his prompt, he outlines levels of depth, and he says, this is the macro view, this is the micro view, this is the let's look. Here are the depth level definitions that I used to program this bot. And it's going to start on the overview. Okay, right there in the middle. Here's your middle ground fence. Balanced conceptual introduction, start here. So if you say to this bot, I want to know more about how to make lasagna, okay, it's going to tell you how to make lasagna. That's the overview. And then if you say, now back out of that, give me a broader global view, it's going to say, okay, so you like lasagna. Well, here's some things that you might consider about tomatoes or feta cheese or ricotta or, whatever goes into it. It's going to start giving you kind of, some a little bit bigger picture, not so much about lasagna, but something a little bit bigger. And then you can say, keep going out to the galactic view. And now it's gonna really start showing you how lasagna and spaghetti and pizza or all these different kind of similar dishes might relate, and it might even offer to tell you some things about the health benefits of lycopenes in tomato sauce, or um how maybe at this point it says, have you considered making your own pasta? There's a lot of ways that you can make wheat pasta, or spinach colored green pasta. Did you know that lasagna was first made in this year in this region of this country? So this galactic view is like kind of, you're not even looking at the lasagna itself. You're looking at everything that connects to it in any way. Universal, keep backing out. Okay, we're getting bigger and bigger, and so now we're talking about food. We're talking about you know countries in Europe. I mean, I don't know how much broader we can get than the universal. In fact, that is where my scale out ends in this bot. At universal, you're only going to have the option to zoom in. And what's kind of cool, right, is you can say to this bot, take me back to the overview. Let's start back at lasagna. Okay. And you can skip, you don't have to go right back in, because just like in Back to the Future, Doc Brown explains that if you go back in time and you change something and then you go forward in time from that point, like you're going to a completely different future, you know? And so if you go out to Universal and then you try to go back in, you really have to like be focused on lasagna to get to lasagna. You can go 4 steps in and end up at Italian restaurants, or you could end up at cartoon cats who hate Mondays. I mean, I think you probably have to come off of lasagna to get to that. But maybe at Global View it mentions cartoon cats who hate lasagna. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll play that game in just a second when I use the GPT, but I want to go the opposite direction. If we wanted to scale in, we could go to macro view, which, you go from making lasagna to um, maybe the different ways that you could make lasagna. Instead of just making lasagna, maybe is this something that you want to make in like frozen single servings that you can heat up as you go through the week, or that you can, what about like lasagna, different ways that you can do it, like on a campsite, or lasagna pops, frozen lasagna pops. I don't even know. What can you do with that? Now, the micro view is even tighter in there, right? And you'd think, like, if we were talking about making noodles, that's pretty micro, but that would not come off of necessarily the lasagna overview. You'd have to go out to get to the ingredients and then go back into noodles, to where you're getting to the micro view of actually how to literally make the noodles. You learn that making the noodles is an option in Universal, but then you zoom into noodles, right? So what we did is we went to overview back to lasagna. And so now we're talking about um, like your oven settings, and we're in the top rack, bottom rack difference. What does a 5 layer lasagna need that's different than like a 7 layer lasagna? Or what if you're not using beef, you're using, you know, tofu or turkey, or I don't even know, getting into those details. And now we're going even further deeper into the lasagna, right? And we're talking about like, well, shoot, I don't even know. I don't know enough about lasagna to even be there. But this bot is going to dial in. It's going to focus in. And as we go tighter, you really have to be more specific. And it's going to prompt you. It's going to say, do you want to dive into this in this direction, in this timeline, or in this timeline, or in this timeline, right? Because as you go tighter, just like you know how GPS works, where it's pinging a satellite every once in a while, and it triangulates distance so it can tell how fast you're going in any one direction because of bing, 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 and it's always sending up, and the distance between the two pings creates a triangle, right? And so if you're the satellite and you were turning, let's say um you're trying to, get your signal to go 100 yards in one direction, you might turn just 1 degree to the right, and in 100 yards, you're no longer 1 degree away from where you were aiming at initially. You're like this many degrees because anyway, a little change in the past makes a big change in the future. That's the point. So this is how it works. You submit the prompt, you receive your depth, and then you choose the option. It's going to ask you if you want to zoom in, increase the detail, increase your context, or if you want to branch. You want to talk about how to make noodles? Let's branch this and create a subtopic, and it'll keep track of that. And then anytime you want to reset and go back to lasagna, you overview, okay? And it's keeping track of your session awareness, and this is why it matters. It supports conceptual clarity, right? It helps you keep your mind straight, and your what I call breadcrumbs, helps you get back out of the woods once you've gone deep. Do you know how far into the woods you can go? Halfway. Because after halfway, you're on your way out of those woods. And this is going to make sure that you know how to get out of the woods once you're in. Strategic thinking, it's going to give you that context, situational awareness, but it's also going to say, okay, I'm not very far from this. And you start to see these resonant kind of abstractions and shapes in those builds. Scalable ideation. Okay. So you can in and out, scalable, big, small. And you come up with, if something doesn't work on this level, you could back out and then go in a different direction. Right. And focused exploration. That's obvious. Right. So here's some starters. I want to explore a new idea. Help me expand on this topic. Give me a broader view of this. Let's reset and start from overview. All right. So it's so simple. So simple. And it's all from Andrew. He came up with a prompt that you can tell your GPT one conversation at a time. And I said, I don't want to keep writing that prompt. I want to create a bot that does that. And I built it for my buddy Andrew because he's the man. You want to learn about SEO and marketing, go to AI Marketeers and join that group. Control the spice, control the universe. This is time travel, you guys. It will take a shorter amount of time to get from one point to another if you scale up and down. It's folding space. That's what the navigators did. So let's try it out. Oh, nope, not Sora. That's a different one. And not my Cub Scout Pack 298. That's a project. We learned to tie dye. Over here, I'm going to find it. It's the conceptual cartography navigator, guided contextual navigation through the realms of any subject's depth. And I've got a couple of little starters here. Help me understand how to use this GPT. You can do that, and it'll tell you why would somebody want this GPT? How does the GPT work? Does this GPT fold space like the Spicing Guild? And the answer is Yes. I'm going to say, I want to learn about lasagna. Lasagna? I'm a lasagna hog. I want to learn about lasagna. What can you tell me? Um, and I don't even have to request the overview. I'm just gonna say, what can you tell me? It's automatically going to start with the lasagna overview. Hmm. So current view, overview, navigation path, lasagna. It's going to tell you that each time, keeping track, breadcrumbs. I'm not going to read all the stuff about lasagna, but it says it's a layered baked pasta dish. There's three pillars: pasta sheets and sauce and a dairy element. Okay, with lots of cheese, stacked strata, then set with deep regional diversity. What it is in one bite, it's a structure, alternating layers, two classic archetypes: the Emilia Romana lasagna a la bolognese, fresh egg pasta, spinach tinted, slow cooked ragu, silky bechamel. Sorry, I'm just like not Italian and butchering this language. Parmigiano Reggiano, Southern Napolitan. So with dried pasta sheets, ricotta, sometimes mozzarella, tomato forward ragu, optional add-ins like small meatballs or hard-boiled egg in some traditions. Interesting. And then you've got some modern branches, right? Spinach, mushroom, roasted veg, seafood. Why it works: starch, fat, umami layer. So we're talking about like this is interesting because it's going to tell you what it is, why it works. And that's important, right? Because anything you want to know about, if it doesn't work, it's going to say it doesn't work. But if it does, it's stayed around for this long, why it works. What are the core components and the roles? Pasta, sauce, dairy. The keys to success. Okay. Here's some tips and tricks about lasagna, and they don't go very deep. Not very deep at all. Use metal if you want to brown faster, and a gentler glass or ceramic for more even heat. Then you got your pitfalls. Watch out for this stuff. Helpful tips and warnings. And then this is where you can take it. Um, where to take it. I'm not sure what that means. Project, classic project cook. Oh, this is how somebody can use this information. Hand rolled pasta, weeknight. No boil sheets, quick tomato sauce, ricotta egg mix, veggie forward, roasted zucchini, flavor riffs, pesto layers, flavor riffs. I love it. So it's telling you, like, what's the next steps here? Now we get down to the bottom and it says, do you want to zoom in for the macro view, the key components, the ratios, the assembly, and the workflow? Or do you want to zoom out for the global view about baked layered casseroles in general across cultures and where lasagna fits into that context? I see Tina's on the chat. Which one do you choose? Zoom in or zoom out? All right. So to zoom in, you've got some subtopics. Okay. Do we want to zoom into the history and the regional styles, the component science, the assembly blueprints, or the dietary adaptations? This is going to be the direction of our deeper dive, right? Like I was talking about, 1 degree um, will take us any number of degrees in any direction. So, want to zoom in for practical how-tos and ratios, um, or branch to one of these specific variants? What's it going to be, Tina? You want to do history? Okay. So history and regional style. And then I'll just say, let's zoom in to the history. And probably I could have just said, let's zoom in. But because I specified history, it's going to be even more focused on that. You get your origins, medieval foundations, okay? How it took shape from medieval layered pasta to today's many regional identities. Regional divergence. So we got a good timeline. This is where the great lasagna schism of the 19th century. And then how, how we know it today when it kind of became what it is. Um, how it became popular, pasta tech and export with the dried sheets, diaspora adaptations. Ricotta is the go-to binder. Hmm. Comfort food and showpiece bake, popular in restaurants and media. It looks good. Lasagna looks good. More contemporary. What makes the two classics historically distinct? You've got the binder, the cheese, different cheeses in the north and the south, the format of the pasta, some dried or some fresh egg, the sauce profile. Nice. And then, huh, so in the north, it was like every Sunday we're doing lasagna, but in Naples, it was more like a special event. So now we can go one more level in. We go to the micro, where we could discuss manuscripts and medieval sources. Like we can go deep into how we know all that stuff about back in the day, or we can do a side by side comparison of the two northern southern styles. Um, the timeline of arrival, uh, some US variants, or we can go back out and we can go a little more broad and see if there's something different that we want to check out, or we can branch. You know what I want to do? I want to just say, I want to ask a question. This is a little off script. I don't know what's going to happen, but I want to ask about Garfield because it hasn't said anything about cartoon cats who love lasagna but hate Mondays. Um, so I'm going to see if I can trip this GPT up. What does lasagna um, have to do with Mondays? Let's see what happens. I don't know. I don't know. Now, if it is able to pull up Garfield, I wonder um where Garfield cartoon cats would land in the depth. Let's find out. Current view, micro view, okay, pop culture. Navigation path, lasagna, history, cultural associations. Short answer, there's no traditional Italian lasagna on Mondays rule. The link is pop culture, Garfield. Cool. So the Garfield effect, launched in 1978 on June 19th, made two traits famous. Garfield loves lasagna and Garfield hates Mondays. Over time, the internet culture mashed these ideas into lasagna plus Monday memes. How about that? So Monday equals collective dread, but lasagna equals cozy comfort food. The contrast is memeable. Monday's bad, lasagna good. You'll see Lasagna Monday specials, posts, recipes, sometimes tied to Meatless Monday because the pairing is recognizable and comforting. But it's marketing and culture, not culinary tradition. If you're curious, we can zoom in further on the nano view, famous Garfield strips, quotes, and how the meme evolved. We can branch to Meatless Monday, lasagna, vegetarian, and vegan templates. Or we can take it back to lasagna overview. Starts from there. I want to keep going. I want to go nano. And this time, I'm not even going to specify. I'm just going to go nano. I could have said zoom in. Yeah, this is fun. I'm not going to spend a whole lot more time on this one because I want to get to the next spot and I want to keep this under an hour. Okay. Current view nano, Garfield, lasagna, Mondays, tiny artifacts and examples. Lasagna culture, Garfield. Core motifs. It's a looping gag. Monday's a disaster. Alarm clocks, diets, coffee shortages. And lasagna fixes all of that. The visual beats that you'll recognize: chin on the counter, eyes half masked, oversized pan framed like treasure, cubicle memes. Here's your meme template: two panel, it's Monday. Trade-off slider, productivity and lasagna consumption, right? Because it makes you tired, I guess. Checklist, beat, Monday, coffee, nap, lasagna, accept fate. How funny. These are meme templates because everybody gets it, right? That's what a meme is. It's just an idea that's really easy to pass because it's simple. Um, how cool. Caption, micro patterns, cultural bleed through, restaurant promos, merch post cues, mugs, and shirts. Why it works at a meme scale. You want to keep drilling or pivot? I'm going to say zoom in. How far can we go? Zoom in. And at this point, I'm letting the bot decide, and it's going to go. I've got to set that trajectory toward Garfield, but I haven't declared where else I want to go. So I'm curious. It's definitely leaning towards the meme, the idea of Mondays and lasagna and how they relate, which is actually what I did say. I didn't say Garfield. I said Mondays and lasagna. So it's literally giving you directions on how to create I mean, these are the elements of a Garfield panel cartoon. 10-word microvariant for tight spaces. Monday stacks problems. I stack pasta. Good one. I'm going to keep going. I've got one more level of zoom in. Zoom in again. Who knows what's going to happen? Subatomic. Wow. Gives you the dimensions of an Instagram post. Layered like lasagna, only less comforting. Stack carbs, not meetings. Crazy. So this gives you, it says, you want to make a meme about lasagna on Monday. This is what it's going to look like. This is how it's going to be formatted. These are all the platforms and the specific platform formats and the slight variation. Layer your defenses against Monday. Wow. Now, I'm curious. I might, like I want to know if I could take this into Sora. There might be some copyright issues. Or take this into another place and actually have these 10 memes created. Look, want me to spin any one of these into a fully composed image? I can generate it or zoom back out to a broader pop culture ties. Which one? Which, yeah, but name one. I like, let's do I like the LinkedIn one. Mondays are layered. So is strategy. Reduce the noise, build the stack, rest before you slice. Like a lasagna, you got to let it rest. That is brilliant. Clean overhead of neatly sliced lasagna square, minimalist caption area. Pro tip, professional tone, swap lasagna photo for abstract layers graphic to avoid food in feeds. I mean, is that a rule? Avoiding food in feeds? I don't know. I'm going to go number 4. I'm going to copy this, right? I'm going to copy the whole thing just so it doesn't get confused. Yes, please generate this meme. Colon, shift return, paste, enter. Wild, man. This is, I've seen a bunch of posts that say, are you using ChatGPT up to its full potential? Most people use it like like it's Google or whatever. Who cares? Use it however you want. I like to believe that I can do anything. Like, seriously, tell me something you think I can't do, and I'm going to find a way to do it. And ChatGPT is going to help me find that way if it doesn't just do it itself. I don't know what this is going to look like. It might look like a piece of crap, but I didn't even consider making a lasagna meme until I went 4 steps deeper into this search about lasagna. I mean, life is a bunch of rabbit holes and tangents, okay? You decide how far you want to go and in what direction, and it's up to you to keep track of that. I like it. I think it's nice to have this tool that allows me to do that with kind of abandon. It doesn't like it's cool. I like this. Let's see what this meme looks like. Come on. Come on. Almost out of chips. So another kind of cool thing about ChatGPT that we can go ahead and address. Well, it might take a moment. It's creating. I'm going to make a new tab here, and I'm going to say ChatGPT. And so now I'm logged in to the same account in 2 different browser windows. And I'm going to come over here and use a different custom GPT. Okay, we can check back. It's still working, you know. I'm just going to let this cook, simmer over here. But then I'm going to talk about this other bot that I made. And this is the Handsome Bot Modeling Agent, which is so cool. It uses framework analysis and agnostic redesign transformation. It's the fart bot. And it was born out of this. I have a bad habit or a good habit, and it's not farting. In fact, I need this bot to fart for me because I'm I've got all these memes. I've got all these infographics. Right now, there's a certain saturation, I like to say. Everybody's got this $27 PDF, the 20 best prompts ever, and we're just constantly being hooked and reeled in by these lead generating value propositions. Right? Here's a free thing in exchange for your email so that I can market something to you later. I'm a sucker for that, and I will collect all the free prompts that anybody has to offer. I like infographics a lot. I like abstractions, I like models, I like graphs. I dig it, man. And so when I see something cool, I'm like, I want that, and I screen cap it or I save it. The result is I've got like a billion pictures on my phone, and half of them are out of context, weird, pie charts and stuff that I don't even understand, really, honestly. Because what I'll do is I'll go, "That's awesome. I'm gonna look at that later and figure it out." And so the other day, I was sitting here, I was dumping photos from my phone because I was looking for something in particular, and I realized, man, I've collected a lot of those, and so I airdropped like 20 or 30 of them from the last couple months into a folder. And I said, for my team here on Skool, there's a lot of value in these memes that I've collected. I feel inclined to, um, I guess, find a way to share these with, ethically. Like, I'm not trying to present anything as if it's mine, if it's not. And honestly, a lot of the stuff, I'm not trying to say that I've invented any of it. I'm just kind of like stumbling through it and figuring it out like a human, and we're all in this together, and I want to share what I find, but I also don't want to get sued for sharing something that I didn't create. So why not create a bot that does a framework analysis on a graphic, and then it performs an agnostic redesign transformation on that graphic, agnostic being no IP. It strips all the any kind of branding or any kind of like creative element and just leaves the facts and the info, because you can't copyright facts, right? Like this is truth. And let's try it out. But first let's check on lasagna. That's a that's a nice looking piece of lasagna. It's it doesn't have anything written on it though. And that's okay, because this is where you can put any kind of text that you want. So this is actually pretty functional. I'm going to share, or rather, let's see, not share. Look, golden lasagna slice on dark plate. It even allows you to share that directly. Surely not. Directly to LinkedIn or X or Reddit from the ChatGPT. That's news to me. I'm going to download it instead. Okay, now I've downloaded this blank meme template. I'm going to see if it'll add text. How about hmm, I'm going to copy it. I want to say rework this text so that it is a single thought comparing Monday's lasagna and this strategic flow. I'd like to approve the text before you apply it to this meme. Haha. Send. Now it knows it's gonna have to write it on there. So it's gonna have to fit. All right. Back to the handsome bot modeling agent. Um, I could upload a graphic and just see what happens. Or I don't want to even get into this. React renders are one of the coolest add-ons that I put into here. And then the real gold, it's the downloads. So I'm going to unshare for just a second. Hey, everybody. And I'm gonna instead, I'm gonna share my full desktop. Okay. So now you should be able to see more stuff. And I'll go to my Finder. And in my downloads, I pulled a picture today from Facebook, not, half an hour ago. And I thought it was pretty cool. And I don't even remember where I got it. It was just on Facebook. I saw it, how to give a 35-minute talk without notes. Okay. I love a good Venn diagram. If you're not familiar with the Venn diagram, you've got some overlapping things. This is complex, right? So if you can do all four of these things, these relate, they all relate in this way. If you do all four of these things, you give this talk without notes, feeling easy. Okay. Now, I just explained what I looked at and figured out. I didn't even read any of the words. That's fine. What I'm going to do is drag this image into this bot and hit send. I'm not say a word. All I did was say, check this out. Now I'm going to come back here and check on lasagna. Here are tight single thought lines that compare Monday's lasagna and the strategic flow ready for you to approve. Treat Monday like lasagna. Reduce, layer, rest, then slice. Decisions clean. Okay. Mondays stack like lasagna. Strategy should too. Reduce noise, build the stack, rest, slice. I really like rest, slice. That's to me the big resonant thing there. When Mondays piles up like lasagna, see, now Mondays don't pile up, but tasks pile up like a lasagna. It's probably Monday. Respond with this process. Monday is a layered bake. Cut the noise, build the stack, let it set, slice with intent. Like lasagna, Monday rewards method. I like that one right there. Like lasagna, there's a reward in the method. Okay. Monday has layers, so does strategy. I'm going to go with number 5. How about method makes the Monday go down? I don't know. Maybe we're forcing it. How about mix? What did I say? I liked 5 a lot. Mix 5 and 2 and add it to the lasagna meme template for download. Eric, you've inspired a conceptual cartography navigator meme maker, apparently. There's so much more that this bot does, but that's part of being in the micro and just following your path, following your density. It's like you end up in a meme factory. Who knows? Okay, now a little bit of context and warning here. This one image generated three, count them, 1, 2, 3 different documents, all in this different formats for different uses, but quite an in-depth survey. All right. And we're going to look at what it says, but I'm going to go ahead and download these. You'll see why. Okay, so now I've downloaded these three, and I'm going to call that 35-minute talk. Okay. We used the FART framework, analysis and agnostic redesign transformation. Our source asset, that's a Venn diagram, 4 circles. Assumption, the goal is a brand neutral, IP safe, teaching ready framework any presenter can adopt. So the FART step transformation, build a logical outline, write a short, catchy sentence for each point, attach an analogy or a story to each point, practice repeatedly overlaps, describe benefits, easier recall, intuitive flow, center asserts, confidence, delivering without notes feels easy. Craft your outline, catchy sentence summarizing each point, develop an analogy or story for each point, practice a bunch of times. Okay. So what it's doing is it's taking that and breaking it down. It's giving us a snapshot. What it shows, the deconstruction or the key ingredients and mechanics for practices that mutually reinforce memory. Here's the memory aids: logic, catchy lines, analogies, and stories of practice. Your outcome, your hidden dependencies. Okay. It's a scaffold. It's catchy lines, story to hang it on. Your confident delivery, your easily recall. Abstraction, general principles is my favorite. People remember structure and salience and story and spaced reps. Retrieval improves when cues are layered. Like lasagna. No, come on. That was too easy. Look at that. Mondays stack like lasagna. Strategy should too. Reduce the noise, build the stack, rest, then slice clean. I mean, hard to beat. Anyway, I don't even know what to say about that. Now let's say this was a fun deep dive. Zoom all the way out and find how Kevin Bacon relates to this meme. I don't even know. I don't even know what I'm asking. Now it's going to reframe and it's going to rename, right? So it's not using any of the words. It's like rephrasing all the concepts, but keeping the concepts the same so that you don't get confused for plagiarism or just copying somebody, right? Um, Teaching notes. How are you going to teach this? That's kind of cool. Parables. Sprint reps, 3-minute run throughs, escalate realism each time. Man, delivery tips. Open with your destination sentence. What changes for the audience in 35 minutes? Hmm, that's kind of neat. IP compliance notes, reframe model name, maps method. It named this, it gave this a method. Like there's no name, but this bot said, I'm going to name the method described in this infographic. It's going to be called the maps method. And it's it's advising me to make a 4-panel strip layout to avoid the distinctive Venn styling and phrasing. All sentences are original, no proprietary slogans or coined metaphors were copied. The brand agnostic icons and neutral typography, no logos or endorsements. So this is my like natural English language uh you know info where I can read it. And it's all in the canvas. So I was able to download it. But then you get down here to the markdown version. And if anybody doesn't know, a markdown is a specific grammatical structure for documents that can be kind of taken for granted by these models. Like if you put it in markdown, it's going to have the first point is going to be one number. And then there's going to be a little bit of a like, hey, this is something you need to consider. And then the next point, boom. And then this next point has these lists of things to consider, right? And then the next one is the quick builder. Actually, yeah, the 4 moves. They're all related to these teaching notes. So if you go over here and look in our downloads, this PDF is basically what we just looked at. And then it shows what we're looking at now with the markdown. And then it's going to give you uh all the stuff in the Word doc, which is right here. And it gives you all the stuff in a Word format. Now this is where it gets really cool. And so you got a PDF, and then here's the markdown. See what I mean? Like computer, it's not binary, but it's chunked. These are what you might describe as chunks. Okay. You could put your markdown file directly in here and it'll parse it really, really well. Now this is the big thing, and we're almost done. It's 1 o'clock. I'm gonna close this in just a second. Want an interactive mock-up too? Say React, and I'll add a printable brandless React visual. Guys, it's so cool. And I hope it works. It's worked for me 80% of the time. Every once in a while, there's a syntax error, and I have to kind of help manage that. So cross your fingers. REACT. So what it asked, if you recall, is you want an interactive mockup? Say React, and I'll add a printable brandless React visual. Let's see what Kevin Bacon had to do with. We went out to the universal view so he could find Kevin Bacon, this GPT. Through Garfield, of course. The meme leans on Garfield's Monday lasagna trope. Garfield connects to Kevin Bacon along at least 2 clean chains. Chain A, Bill Murray line, Garfield '04 was voiced by Bill Murray. Murray co-starred with Kevin Bacon in Wild Things in 1998. Chain B is the Chris Pratt line. Garfield in 2024 is voiced by Chris Pratt. Bacon appears as himself in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special set in Pratt's MCU world. That's a stretch. Zoomed out read. Your meme sits inside a larger pop culture web where 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon is the meta joke. Any widely known character like Garfield typically reaches Bacon in 1 or 2 steps via shared projects. Here you have 2. Want me to stamp a tiny footer nod, 6 degrees approved on the asset? or keep it clean. No, let's reset. Reset to lasagna overview. While we're doing that, let's check the Hanson bot. Okay, so this is the code for the React interactive. Okay, you can when it's done, it's not done yet. Still writing. Check it out, dude. It's just like writing code. GPT is just on it, dude. And it's written all this. And so when it's ready to preview, this will light up. Checking on. Okay, we're back at the overview with lasagna. All those archetypes are still there. Why it works, core components, keys to success, common pitfalls and fixes, where to take it, what would I like next? So we zoomed in last time. We zoomed all the way out and then looked for Kevin Bacon and found two. Um, let's zoom in again and see if, without any mention, we get it takes us back to the memes or if it takes us somewhere else. I'm just going to say zoom in. Okay, here's the React code. It's a clean, printable maps builder with beats, anchor lines, parable cues, a rehearsal ladder, progress bar, and a 3-minute timer. No dependencies beyond Tailwind. Use the print button to save a one pager. You want tweaks, colors, fields, or dark mode? Tell me about it, and I'll update. Are you ready? Oh man, cross your fingers because okay. So map the arc. Your destination sentence equals this is what a destination sentence is. What changes for the audience in 35 minutes? So if you're like in this speech, what do you want to teach somebody? What are they going to walk away with? What's the takeaway? This guy's not so bad after all, or this guy was actually not a hero. He was a real creep, or something, something. Um, did you know um, lasagna is a layered baked pasta with two distinct, what would that be? Flavors, types, not just one. All right, so I'll add the beats 3 to 5. Add. Oh, look, there's all my beats. So when I added a beat, I can subtract a beat. Give me a beat. You got to have three at least, though. 3 to 5. So I guess you can only add, huh, that's interesting. If I get rid of beat 4 and 4, it's only going to add beat 4 and 5. Oh, okay. That's interesting. So then you got to come up with the beats, right? So, like, what's one way that we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about, we can even look back at our chat, right? Um, I'm sure that there is a way that these bots could like do the double helix dance and merge to where all this deep diving, micro focus detail could come over here and provide this bot with the beats. But this bot doesn't have to do with telling necessarily 35-minute talks without notes. This is just the React visible application described in that Venn diagram. And so once you've got your beats of your story, how you're going to teach somebody about lasagna, that in theory we could pull from any of these. Um, yeah, this is probably the one, right? You got an origin, some story in here, the regional divergence, some story about how it became a northern southern thing, the codification and how it became a classic archetype. These are the beats. And then you just got to figure out a story that describes that, like, with a lighthouse or, um, the horse stepped on the pasta and it flattened out and they were hungry. And so now they just had to put it in a dish and eat flat pasta instead. I don't know. And now it says little checks for the 5 different reps that you do before you take this 35-minute talk live in front of an audience without notes. You do it solo with just the audio. You turn your slides on, use those, do it in front of your friends, and then set up a mocked room, a staged event. And look, it's even got a countdown timer, y'all. How cool is that? Now, why it's 3 minutes and not 35? I could ask. I could say, hey, why is that timer a 3-minute timer and not a 35-minute timer? It would probably fix it. Now, once you fill in those anecdotes, here's your cue cards, and then it'll create a 1-page summary for each of them. How cool is that? And that all came from that one dumb image graphic. I think that's really cool. I really like this bot. Um, that's one of my faves. Lasagna bot or fart bot, or no, this is Spice bot. This is the conceptual cartography navigator. We zoomed in, watery slice. Um, anything else we need to know about lasagna? I can't hear you. What? How old is it? Zoom into the recipe execution. Provide detailed instructions, times, portions, ingredient variables, etc. Okay, so we're zooming in to the ingredients and the execution of the actual build. Oh, so I can download that React and run it anywhere. So I'll download it. And we'll come over here to Finder. And so that's the JSON. It's a JSX format. If I opened it, you wouldn't understand it because you have to open it in like an IDE via Studio Code, and you'd see what we see here, just a bunch of numbers. But then you could render it in your browser and see that interactive aspect of it. Instead, I'm going to put this here. Now I've got these 4 documents about this 35-minute talk. Okay. In the past, I have done a similar exercise with, where are they? I go to School Docs, mine. Uh, where are we? Fartbot? Yep. Um, what did I call them? Are they in documents? Are they in desktop? Uh-oh. Huh. Well, I don't know where they are. I had a bunch of them, and I guess I moved them because they were all right here. And then I started working on something different. Hmm. Oh well, I'll I'll find it one day. Oh, you know how we can figure that out? Okay, that's the one we just did. So now that I've used that custom GPT, it lives down here in chats. So this is the fart chat. This is the lasagna chat. This export pack creation. So this is one that I was doing last night. Intelligence dashboard. I'll copy this and let's search. Aha. Where are they? Profile to do fart. I didn't even see fart in the to do. Did you? Yeah. Okay. There they are. So look, here's your prompt matrix for growth. And we'll go here, here, here. Images to flip and share. There's the image. So I did this. I mean, I didn't build this. I grabbed this from socials and made this. And, unless you read what's in it, it's not going to make any difference because it all looks the same. It's standardized, it's clean data. So any of these packs that I got from any of these infographics is going to give you not only interesting information, but it will also potentially give you an app It still needs to be developed a little more, but that's what's pretty cool about these. Let's see what React. Does the key intelligence dashboard give us a good React? Oh, no. Wait for it. Wait for it. Look at that. Yield and timing, your shopping list, your bechamel. I'm not sure what that is. Your pasta and your cheese. Those are pretty decent instructions, I'd imagine, for the 60-minute weeknight lasagna. Ah, not looking good over here. Maybe it didn't want to load because it was yesterday's news. Anyway, that's it. So here you go. You got two bots. You got your conceptual cartography navigator and your handsome bot modeling agent or your fart bot. And now, one of my absolute favorites, and this is just as a sign off, I'm gonna wrap this up. But there's lots of cool bots, several of them in the classroom. So go get them. This is one of my favorites. I'm gonna put thank you for showing up to this week's Tuesday nooner. It was as awesome as you expected. I love you. And uh, next week, I'll be giving away $1 million in AI swag for your pet dragons. Yes, all swag is fireproof and made of real dwarves. Made of real dwarves. Sometimes all you need in life, all you want is a little bit of consistency. You want to know what to expect. Times are changing. Everything is changing, changing. The Gulf of America, all the things are changing. Not this bot. This bot's always going to give you exactly what you ask for. And by using this bot, what you're asking is for one of these. And you're gonna get it if you use this one. All right. Thanks for thanks for being a part of this. Toodles.